What's going on, everybody? It's TheNidien. What we have today is some Military Monday episode 3. And real quick, I wanted to catch your attention. This kind of goes back to the sheeple video I just made about people following other things blindly and not really worrying, just taking a step back and worrying about their own rights and everything else. But on the 8th of this month, which kind of slid underneath my radar too, the president signed into effect the Federal Restricted Buildings and Grounds Improvement Act of 2011, and basically it obliterates our First Amendment of our Constitution. The Constitution, all these guys said that they would uphold, is just getting obliterated. Bill of Rights is getting obliterated, and it's going to be really, really bad. 5 years from now it's going to be bad. There isn't no 10, 15 years from now, and I really feel bad for my kids, my kids' kids, when I'm long gone, and just to see this all fall apart, because I see something really bad coming in America as far as like civil unrest, another revolution of some sorts, and I think the government is getting prepared for that type of thing by trying to pass all these bills or secretly sliding underneath the radar when people are so damn worried about Coney 2012 and all this other needless bullshit in other countries. Nobody cares about what's going on in our own country, America, or any other country. If you're European, people need to start watching out for their own countries and what's going on there. And then, once that's taken care of, go on to other countries. But I just wanted to catch you guys' attention to that real quick. I'll put a link down in the bottom to a couple little articles where you guys can check it out if you guys haven't heard of it or if you don't know about it. I know a lot of people, it's went by their radar as well, slid underneath everything. And I'll possibly make another full video on that if people want to get my opinions on what's going on with that, because I'm not happy with it. I'm going to be honest with that. So, back to the matter at hand. What we have is my experiences in boot camp. I kind of went over the basics of it, the gist of what you're going to see and what you're going to go through, like an overall kind of thing in my last part one of two of my little boot camp. So this is going to get into my experiences. And first of all, when I first got there, I was really anxious, and not anxious in a good way. Like, I didn't know what to expect. I was trying to stay as calm as possible. The heat was atrocious even at 4 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't used to it even, coming from up here in New York. You're used to a lot of humidity up here, but that's on a different level down there in South Carolina and Parris Island. It's something crazy. Like, it'll rain every single night, and then halfway through the day you'll just watch all the rain puddles just evaporate and steam in the air if it's moist enough. It's real crazy. It's almost like you're in a jungle type area when it comes to that, but it's extremely humid, and you'll get I went June, July, August is when I went, and part of September, and it was ridiculous. Like, we had a ton of black flag days and red flag days. And real quick, for those who don't know what that is, that's a standard that was put in effect by Mothers of America, and they have different flags. The red flag and black flag, they're not allowed to PT you outside and all this other good stuff. If it's black flag, you're supposed to pretty much be inside. The only time you can go outside is when you're going to eat, or if you're going to a specific place, and you can only go from A and B. If they get caught PTing you outside, they can get in a lot of trouble and all this other stuff. So there's this flag system to kind of keep you protected from not getting some ridiculously crazed out drill instructor taking you out to the pit on a black flag day and just burying you into dehydration, and then eventually you could possibly die. There's been cases of that in the past, and this is what was put in effect by Mothers of America. But anyways, back to what we were talking about. When I was first there, I was really anxious. I didn't get very much sleep like everybody else. You got to fill out a ton of paperwork. You got to get rid of your other clothes. You got to get all your new uniforms, your camouflage, your shoes, toothbrush, all that other stuff. So the first couple days were really crazy. I don't remember too much of those first couple days except walking from barracks to barracks or this place to this place and just getting handed a bunch of stuff and then having to try to process that all and still remember your own name at the end of the day. And where I'm going to start is pretty much, I was there for a week before boot camp really actually started. And when we got in there, the first 4 months, the first 4 weeks were absolutely crazy. Like, I felt like absolute garbage. I wasn't used to the sleep. I was like overtired. And your mind is just going absolutely bonkers because you're trying to get on the same page as everybody. This guy down the road might be screwing up. You might be screwing up. The guy across from you might be screwing up, which in turn causes everybody to screw up. And it's just like, that's the worst mind game. The first month is where they're going to try to make or break you. And they break a lot of kids. So if you can get past the first month, it was like, the first month kind of came to fruition, and all of a sudden, like one day I woke up and I felt like $1,000,000. It was weird, and I remember that day, and I'll never forget that day where I just woke up and felt awesome. And like, you know, all the mental games were gone, they were cleared out. I mean, you still get played with and you still get messed around with, but it's not nearly as bad as the first month. The first month is that trial period, and that's where it's going to be the hardest. So you get through the first month, and you know, you have your weekly thing. You're going to PT Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Like I said, I wasn't much of a PT monger, so PT, especially running, was not my forte. I hate running to this day. I hated running then. It's just one of those things. I was never a runner, so if I could do it, you know, you guys can build up to it from, you know, half a mile all the way to the 5-mile run at the end of the boot camp that we did. You know, it's one of those things. If I can do it, anybody can do it, because running is, I am the turtle, somebody else is the hare, and that's just the way it is. So we went through, you know, you got PT Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and one thing that I learned very quickly was to not eat breakfast fully, and definitely don't eat any milk. Eat milk, but drink milk, because what that does is basically it's so hot there, it curdles in your stomach, and a lot of guys end up throwing up. So what I would do is just grab an orange, eat the orange for breakfast, and then move on. It would keep me energized enough to make it through PT, to make it up to the rest of the day, and then make it to lunch and dinner where I had full meals, but I wasn't out running around like a crazy animal and throwing up everywhere. So I learned very, very quickly to get rid of most of the food during breakfast. Grab some sort of fruit, whether it's an orange or an apple. You have your choice, I think, or at least we did back then. I'm sure it's you got more choices now, maybe not. I'm not exactly sure. So that's what I learned right off the bat. Another thing I learned right off the bat was to just basically forget about smiling. Like, you can't, if you get caught smiling or showing your teeth or any sort of effect, you know, they don't, if then they catch you, they frown upon that quite badly, actually. You don't want to, the situation I got into, I think I told you guys about this the last video. I showed my teeth. Some kid did something stupid next to me. I kind of looked over and was giving him this weird look. One of my teeth must have been showing. I got brought up. I ended up like breaking down, just start laughing, and I couldn't stop laughing, which caused a whole lot of ruckus. Ended up, you know, like an attempted jump situation, which I took care of later in the night, and many other things. But that's one thing you don't want to do, is show your teeth. Another thing you don't want to do is look any of these guys in the eye. Stare at their forehead, and if they're a lot taller than you, which some of these guys, I'm almost 6 foot exact, and some of these guys, you know, are 6'6", 6'7", and you just look at their Adam's apple, or their forehead. If they're shorter than you, and if they're the same height, then you just look past them, almost like you're looking through them at the wall. If you can pick a spot on the wall above them, look at that, or the wall behind them, look at that, and just stare. Don't ever look them in the eyes. You know, that's one of those things that they don't like to do either. And don't call them you either. That's just another thing too. What am I, a female sheep? And then you're going to get quarterdecked. So my experiences with boot camp were very short and sweet. Like, you know, I was that guy that got in trouble all the time. If somebody else got in trouble, I got in trouble with them. If they were quarterdecked, I was quarterdecked, or the drill instructors would have them quarterdeck me. And what the quarterdeck was pretty much a little area on the front of your barracks, and you go up there and they PT the crap out of you inside the building. You're up there, you're sweating, you're half dead, and they make you do different things, up, downs. They'll be like, you know, run in place, and you got to run in place, and you run in place for 5 seconds. They're like push-ups. You drop down and do push-ups. Halfway through your motion, they drop down and do a push-ups. They'll tell you to do leg lifts. You got to spin around, maybe get one leg lift out. They'll tell you to run in place, and you jump up, and it wears you out, and it wears you out in a hurry. Except the fact that I was up there so much, by the end of boot camp, they couldn't wear me out, so they had me hang up on the pull-up bar upside down. They had me hanging from the pull-up bar all over the place. They had me going out in the pit and making big old sand piles, and then sticking my face in the sand piles and then blowing sand out, and then I'd have to fill the hole back in. And the pit is just a big, pretty much a big, huge sand box, and it's got sand fleas in it. And I'm not exactly sure if you guys know what sand fleas are, but they're like little tiny fleas, and they bite the shit out of you. And I mean, it stings. And when you get a bunch of them on you and they start biting the crap out of you, it's hard not to like scratch them or bite them, because then if you slap them, they're going to say that you killed it, and then they'll make you dig around until you find a dead sand flea, and they're barely visible, and then they'll make you bury it, and then there's a possibility that you got to go try to unbury the sand flea and tell them the sex, whether it's a male or a female, and it's literally impossible. So it's one of those things. If you get bit by a sand flea, try not to jump, try not to flinch too much, because you're going to get snatched up, and it's not going to be a good thing. They're going to play a little game with you. I've seen thousands of kids burying sand fleas all over the place, and I mean literally, I shouldn't say thousands, I should probably say hundreds, because everywhere we went, there would be like 2 or 3 people out there digging holes, and they'd be, you're wondering what's going on. They're probably burying the sand flea they smacked off them in the morning or whatever. They probably had to carry it around in their pocket all day, had a little funeral for it, and all this other stuff. So that brings me to the point that you see a lot of funny stuff. We had one kid not one kid, but there was a bunch of kids in there stealing these little cracker and peanut butter and jelly packages, and they got caught. Luckily, I wasn't one of the ones doing it, but they had about 10 or 15 drill instructors come up, and everybody had to empty their packs, and everybody was throwing their peanut butter and jelly out and all this other good stuff. And then all of a sudden, you see an apple come rolling by, and the apple gets quickly smashed, and then the kid who rolled the apple out was quickly identified, and he had to come and eat the apple off the floor. While that's happening, you see a donut, a jelly-filled donut rolled by, and it just happens to roll right by this kid's head, and that gets smashed. Jelly and powdered crap goes all over the side of the kid's face, and the kid that rolled the donut out had to come and eat the rest of the donut up off the floor. Not to mention he had to lick the rest of the jelly off the kid's face. It was like and it's one of those things, like everybody was laughing, like even the drill instructors were laughing, but I'm the one that got singled out for laughing, and I ended up on the quarterdeck for 20 minutes. It's one of those things. I would have rather laughed about that and went to the quarterdeck than not laughed at all, because it was almost impossible not to laugh. It was absolutely ridiculous. We had another kid who got caught with a watch. I don't know how he got it through. He must have snuck it in his pants or his sock, but he got caught with a watch, and for about 3 weeks after he got caught with a watch, every day he had to get up in the morning and get dressed, and then he had to go and sit in the garbage can, and he was Oscar the Grouch for the day. And the only time he could come out was when we went to breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Other than that, he was in the garbage can, and every hour on the hour he had to pop up, tell everybody what time it was, and then get back in his garbage can. It was absolutely awesome, and this actually went on for about 3 weeks. So you see, like, I don't know who comes up with this stuff, or what, if they all sit down and have like a big pool every Saturday and Sunday and come up with these ideas, but it's crazy, and it's just absolutely funny. You'll never see stuff like this again. We had another kid who got caught after this whole stealing thing, got caught stealing a piece of ham, or no, he was eating the piece of ham after we were told to get up and throw our stuff out. He threw a piece of ham in his mouth real quick and walked out the door, got caught with it in his mouth. So what he had to do was spit it out and rip it in half. And he had to keep the one piece of ham in his mouth, and then he had to keep the other half in his pocket. And every so often the drill instructor would come by and tell him to switch it. So he'd have to take the ham out of his mouth and put that in the pocket, and then take the ham out of his pocket and put it in his mouth. And mind you, we've been PTing all day. We've been running around sweating all day. So whatever kind of junk was all over this ham had to be absolutely disgusting. And he had to hold on to that for almost a week. The edges of the ham were starting to turn green. I don't know if it was healthy. He didn't get sick or die or anything like that as far as I know, but it was gross, and so you don't want to be caught eating outside the chow hall at all, period. What else did I have? Oh, I'm scared of heights, so you got to do what you're going to have to do eventually in one little area of boot camp is you're going to do some rappelling. And there's I think it's a 50-foot tower, and I think that the helicopter pad is a little bit higher than that. So, the tower wasn't bad because I could go down, I could look at the wall, and I couldn't perceive how high I was at the fact. But the helicopter pad that you got to jump off of is just blatantly straight down, nothing but air below you. And that was just absolutely crazy. I was scared out of my wits. I kind of just closed my eyes and hopped off of it. And all of a sudden I stopped, and I'm like, whoa, like, where did I stop? How high am I? I looked down, I went about 3 feet. And then I get down, and I got going so fast that I couldn't stop myself again. And I did a little crash landing at the bottom, and I had to do it all over again. Not to mention, you make your own harnesses for rappelling, so it's not like, you know, you make them so you know that you did it right. Well, at least you hope you did it right, but there's a possibility you could get your, you know, your left or right ball stuck up behind the rope. And we had one kid pass out because he didn't dare to tell anybody he got his ball stuck up in there and was squished it and passed out. So you got to be real careful with that. You're going to have bruise marks all over your legs, and especially your waist, your hip bones are going to be all bruised up, because it's literally a rope harness, and it's the most uncomfortable thing you could probably ever put on, and it is tight. And you want to make sure it's tight so you don't go winging off this helicopter pad and all of a sudden this thing unravels and you go down to the ground from 50 feet in the air and splatter. So that's one of those things. And then you're going to go through like some sort of, I don't want to call it an obstacle course, but they got a course out there where you do, you know, a little rope swing. You do the Stairway to Heaven, if you guys haven't seen that. I'm not sure if I can, you can probably Google a picture of it, and what it is like this humongous wooden ladder, and every step you take gets further and further away from you until you're at the top, and then you got to go over the top and then down the bottom. What I found classic about that thing is that thing wasn't that high. That was probably, I don't know, 20, 30 feet in the air. But the thing is, the mat that they have below you to like kind of stop you if you do fall off this thing, because you're not harnessed up at all, is about 3 inches thick. So if you do fall off the thing, you're toast, man. I don't know how anybody could possibly not get very, very injured. They might have switched the mats out by now and make it a little bit more safe, but when I was in, that mat was about 3 inches thick. They would have done better off just to pull the mat out, and then that way you would have been clinging on for dear life to make sure you didn't fall. And then you go on, and then, you know, you got the Stairway to Heaven, you got the A-frame. What the A-frame is this huge kind of like structure, and you're going to climb a rope, you're going to run across a board, or not a board but a log, and then go up a little rope bridge, and then you're going to slide down a rope, and it gets a good, you know, 20, 30 feet high as well. I wasn't able to do that because the line was too long, but the one I was able to do, which was really awesome, in which I almost got in a lot of trouble, is they have you go up on a tower, and they have a string that goes down across to a little stump at the end, you know, and then you lay down on the string, and I'm like, how am I going to balance on the string? Well, you wrap one foot up behind you, and then you let your other leg hang down, and you just let the rope rest on your chest, and you're able just to, you know, slide right down this rope. And then at certain points, the drill instructors will tell you to flip over. So then you flip over, and then you're going down the rope backwards. You slide for a little bit, and then what you got to do is they tell you to exchange, and then you got to move your hands a little bit, and you got to drop your feet down, whip your body around, and then bring your feet back up on top of the rope. So now you're going down the rope butt first, and then you finish it off. Well, where I got into an issue was I went down the rope, you know, and I was going down slowly but surely because I seen a lot of kids fall off. Some of the most, you know, athletic kids were just dropping off this thing, and I was going to make sure I didn't fall off it, because you're going to go into a pit of water that is black because it's so dirty. And mind you, we're in South Carolina. You know, there's alligators around. There's God knows what type of snakes around, poisonous spiders, all sorts of shit that could be living in the bottom of this pit. Nobody ever knows. I don't even think they check it. But either way, you don't want to fall in this pit, and you definitely don't want to accidentally drink any of the water. So I was making sure I wasn't going to fall in this thing. So I'm going down slow. We get to the point where we got to switch. I look at the drill instructor. He tells me to switch. I switch over, and I get about halfway down, upside down, and he starts yelling at me that I didn't switch over. So I had to get back up the rope somehow to the switch over point. And so I bounced my way back up this rope backwards. I wheeled myself up there, and he couldn't believe it, and he let me go down. So I go down, and we get to the part where we got to switch our hands. So I'm like, all right, no big deal. I switch my hands. I go whipping off this thing, and I whipped off so hard that I kind of went off at an angle, and my feet missed. And once my feet missed, I dropped down, and once you lose that momentum, it's hard to get your feet back up. So I'm just hanging there, you know, and they give you like 10 seconds to get back up there. He starts counting down, and when he got to 1, somehow I lashed my one foot and got down there, and then got down to the end of the rope. So I made it through that, but it was pretty interesting. I think by this point in boot camp, a lot of people just expected me to fail because, like I said, I lost a lot of weight real quick. I went into boot camp weighing like 190. I came out weighing like 172, but I went from like 190 to about 168 within about a 3-week period because I got real sick, and then I started losing weight, and once I started losing weight, I started losing strength, and it was a real mess for a little while. So, that's where I think a lot of my quarter decking came in. They kind of were trying to bring me back up to par, and in a hurry, which they did, and it worked out. But like I said, you're going to see some awesome stuff in boot camp. There's nothing to be scared about. These guys can't touch you. There's a flag system in place. You're going to get fed. The food might not be great. I think usually for breakfast every day they had ham, white rice, a fruit. In some of the other battalions, I was in 3rd Battalion. We were kind of like the redheaded stepchildren of Paris Island. You're thrown way off into no man's land, and then you have 1st, 2nd, and 4th Battalion, which is the women's battalion, all right next to each other, and then like 3rd's way off in no man's land. They were redoing our chow hall at the time, so we didn't get any cereal, we didn't get any of this other stuff. And then eventually, when they really had to tear it down, they took us off to 1st and 2nd Battalion's chow hall in order to eat. And when you walk in and there's like donuts and cereal, and you're like, what in the world have I been missing? All the drill instructors over there love you because you're stronger than an ox by the time you get to a certain point compared to the other ones, because it's like each battalion kind of focuses on their own stuff. Like 1st was a big marching battalion. They were, their quarter deck was the main one. Everybody that comes in there sees people doing it. 2nd was a big running battalion for whatever reason. They focus a lot on running. 3rd was just awesome, like bang out strength. Just strength, 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 strength. It didn't matter if you were going to be smart, you were going to be tough as hell. And 4th, I really haven't talked to any lady Marines about their boot camp experience and what they had to go through and what they focus on. So I'm not exactly sure. So if there's any you lady Marines out there that have any of these experiences, let me know how your boot camp went to you. Oh, and another thing real quick. When you see a girl in boot camp, they're going to make you turn your head. You're not allowed to look at them and all this other stuff, like girls are like some foreign object. They're aliens. Not to mention, I know a lot of kids are homophobic at certain points, and you're going to have to get over that real quick if you're going to want to go into the military. You're going to be taking a shower with 70 other naked guys. Nobody's just staring at, nobody's running around slapping each other on the butt or anything. You're just in there to take a shower, get in, get out, get dressed, and you don't really worry about it. But, a lot of people don't take to that. So if you're homophobic, you got to get over that real quick. And then, they put in all this, now I see a bunch of people freaking out about this whole, the don't ask, don't tell policy being lifted. It's not a big deal either. Nobody's going to be running around with a bunch of boners everywhere. The food is full of saltpeter, which makes it so you don't get, hard on or anything like that for 3 months. You're going to think it don't even work anymore, order to pee, and then when you're going to go home and you're going to see your girlfriend, and then it's going to go up and down within 3 seconds, and you're going to be done and smoking a cigarette on the couch. So it's just one of those things. There's just certain things you don't have to worry about that people, bring out to light. Oh, this is going to ruin the military. This is going to ruin my experience. No, it's not like that. And there's some other situations I'm going to touch on later on in some other videos, like with the whole don't ask, don't tell policy and other things like that. But we're going on 22 minutes now. If there's anything else you guys want to hear, that's pretty much the gist of my boot camp. I got in a lot of trouble. I had a lot of fun. I've seen a lot of funny stuff. Just about whatever you're going to see. They do tone it down. Like if you've seen the USMC thing on the Discovery Channel, one of those drill instructors was actually my senior drill instructor, Staff Sergeant Beiser. He was a really cool guy. But, they tone it down a lot. They don't show you a lot on the cameras. They give you the gist of it. These kids that they put on the TV, you see certain times when they're about to break down, but they keep it pretty clean, and they keep it pretty much, they show you what they want to show you, period. Just like any type of reality show. You're going to be shown what they want you to be shown and kind of get you excited about it. Oh, because towards the end you're going to do the Crucible, and that was honestly the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and I'll touch on that right now real quick. But what that is a 3-day event. You're going to march about 60 miles. All the while, and you get 4 hours of sleep, and you get 2 meals. So you got to split your meals up between 3 days. You only get 2 meals, 2 MREs, and you got to split them up between 3, 6, about 8 meals. You're only going to get 4 hours of sleep, 2 hours the first night, 2 hours the second night, and then you're not going to sleep. So like I said, you got to march 60 miles, and in between all that, you got to do obstacle courses. You got to carry a guy on, like a makeshift gurney type thing and carry them about a mile down and then a mile back. There's going to be, oh man, just a massive amount of stuff you're going to have to do, and you're going to be just dog tired. But by then, you're going to be in shape, you're going to be ready for it, and you're not going to have to worry about it. I don't think, I had never seen anybody not make it back. By the time we got back, there was people that were like kids. We were dragging other kids along. My feet were bleeding. I couldn't, by the time I got done walking and then sat down for an hour, I could barely walk. I had to kind of shuffle everywhere because, you know, the amount of blisters on my feet. But it's over. You literally, you come back from the crucible, you get handed that little Marine Corps button, and I still got my button sitting right here by my computer desk, and it's one of the, like, a moment in your life that you're never going to forget. It was almost on par of when my first kid was born. It was crazy. Like, I didn't know what to feel, I didn't know what to really do, and you go back to your barracks and literally everything changes like within 10 seconds. You don't call everybody sir anymore. You call them by their name, sergeant, corporal, staff sergeant. They treat you like a human being. You can talk to other people. You get to take like an hour-long shower. You get to go eat, the Warriors' breakfast. You're eating steak and donuts and as much as you want. You can just keep going up and get it until you puke if you wanted to, and then you get to go back and just chill. You're allowed to talk in the chow line. It's an absolute amazing feeling, and then it's over. So that's my boot camp experience in a nutshell. I hope it helps you out. I hope it enlightens you guys that are thinking about going in or heading in soon. So that's what I got for you guys today. And as always, keep your heads up. Oh, and please go check out that Federal Restricted Buildings and Grounds Improvement Act of 2011. Let me know what you guys think as well. Military Monday, coming every week. Peace. What's going on, everybody? I just want to let you guys know you can check out my Azura's Wrath playthrough over on Tour de Force or in my playlist on my channel as I just finished that bad boy up, and we're going to start something else here shortly. If you missed my last Military Monday episode, there's a link above there. We talk a little bit more about boot camp as I made this a two-part series. If you like what you've seen, hit that subscribe button. Go over to Justin TV, Twitter, and Facebook and check me out, and I hope to see you guys there soon. So as always, keep your heads up. Have a great day. Peace.